This is the Elgato Streamdeck. I've owned this for a number of years now, primarily to launch applications. Here you'll see a range of applications on the buttons now. If I switch profile, you'll see that I also have a range of text options. Say I'm in an email and there's something that I type quite often, then I can save it into a macro and simply press a button to type that. So next, the profile that I have here is to control my smart home. I've got a range of 5 lights set up, which I can switch on and off using these buttons. Now, the star attraction is this. These are the Illustrator shortcuts, which I've ironically designed in Illustrator. So, I've designed each one of these icons to assign to a button on the Streamdeck, and I then set up the shortcut. The shortcut's normally a combination of 2 or 3 buttons to execute a certain command. And so I'm going to go through each button to tell you what's what. So the first is a star. This is new. The next one is save. The downward pointing arrow is place. This arrow here is redo. The arrow pointing backwards is undo. This button here is toggle artboard. Next one is show outlines. This in the middle is deselect. This here is ungroup. These 2 solid squares is group. This here is to back. Send the object right to the back. Send the object to the front. This is send backwards. This is 1 step backwards in the layers. And this is send forwards, which is 1 step forwards in the layers. And this one here is just the next profile in the Streamdeck. So this is my usual setup when using the Streamdeck. You'll notice that it's no longer in its stand. Having the Streamdeck flush with the desk allows me to rest my hand and simply move my fingers, as opposed to having to elevate my hand with a pointed finger to select each button. What's more, the unit is now on the left hand side, allowing me to have access to the Streamdeck with my left hand and the mouse with my right hand. This in turn eliminates the need to let go of the mouse to press buttons on the unit. With this arrangement, I can work both the mouse and the Streamdeck at the same time. So here we are in Adobe Illustrator. What better way to demonstrate the Streamdeck features than to actually do it via the graphics that I created for the Streamdeck. So let's start with the button at the top left of the keypad, the star. If we press this, you'll see the new document window open. Naturally, from here we can start a new document. So closing this and going to the next, we have the save button denoted by the circle there. So pressing that, this document is now saved. Next, we have the place button, which opens up this window, prompting us to select the file to place on the artboard. So I can select the file, clicking place and placing that image on the artboard there. So next we have redo and undo. To demonstrate this, I'm going to move this icon. I'm going to press undo on the keypad and it undoes it. So next we have redo. So pressing that, it's going to put it back to where I moved it originally. Pressing undo, going to the next button. If I press that, you'll see it toggles on the artboard and toggles off the artboard with a second button press. Next we have show outlines. So this goes into outline mode, allowing us to do intricate work on the paths here. Pressing this again, it goes back into preview mode. That's to say it shows all the fills, etc. So next we have deselect in the center. So selecting all, pressing deselect, it deselects the selected object or objects. Next we have ungroup and group. Selecting all, you'll see that in the layers panel we have all separate groups here. So if I press group at the far right here, you'll see that it's now made into a singular group. Pressing ungroup, we go back to those separate groups. Dissecting further, if we select an individual button and we press ungroup, focusing on the layers again, you'll see it shows all the individual elements which have been ungrouped in that group. The button at the bottom left of the keypad is send to back. If I was to select a graphic here, you'll see it's denoted in the layers panel with a little marker here. In this case, it's a blue marker. This graphic is at the top of the stack. Now if I was to press this button, you'll see it's now sent to the very bottom. It's at the bottom of the layers. It's at the very back. Now the button next to that, the arrow pointing right towards the rectangle, if I press that, you'll see that layer has been sent to the very top. It's at the front now. If I press the singular arrow pointing left, you'll see it moves down 1 in the stack. For each button press, it moves down 1. In a similar fashion, if I press the button with the arrow pointing right, it moves up 1 for each button press. So that covers all the buttons on the Streamdeck which I've set up. Naturally, you could set up different functions of your own, but this just so happens to be the ones I use on a frequent basis. So whilst we're here in the software, these are obviously the very icons I use on my Streamdeck, and it's this AI file together with all the individual images which I'm going to provide to you via a link in the description. As I'll go on to demonstrate, there are many different brands and types of this type of device, so you might use the images with the device that actually displays it on an LED illuminated button, or you may wish to print the graphics and apply them to non-illuminated buttons as labels. So here's the GUI for the Streamdeck, in which we assign the graphics and the shortcuts to each button. Here you'll see if I click the one at top left, we have the hotkey as it's called, we have Option and N. Of course I'm using a Mac, so we have the Option there. Option and N, and I've clicked and dragged over the icon for this button here, and it just automatically assigns it and it appears on the actual Streamdeck. In a similar fashion, for the save button, the circle, I have Option and S, and I dragged across that graphic into this box to assign it. Now the place function, I have Shift, Option and P, and I've done exactly the same for this graphic, and so forth. We have Shift, Option and Z or Z for redo, and for undo we have Option and Z. So all focus has been upon the Elgato Streamdeck here, so you're probably thinking that I'm affiliated with them in some way. As it happens, I'm not. The Streamdeck is just the version of this device which I've seen first, and it's seemingly one of the best according to reports. There are alternatives however, and I'm going to show you some of those examples. The point I'm attempting to convey is that if you're finding keyboard shortcuts too much of a challenge, particularly if you change keyboard brands often, or you're sick of contorting 3 fingers to make figurative chords, this peripheral is something to consider. Streamdeck is naturally a brand name. These devices are actually known by the terms macro keys, macro keypad, programmable keypad, and gaming keypad. Here you'll see a range of these from elaborate rainbow lit gaming versions to backlit versions, similar to the Streamdeck, to more conservative models and even DIY units, which have graphics applied as labels. Those options are there in accordance with your needs and of course your budget. So you're probably wondering, is this gadget a staple in my daily operations? To which the answer is yes. At the start of the video I partially covered the uses I have for the Streamdeck outside of Illustrator, including launching applications and controlling my smart home. So I use it often for these purposes. When it comes to Illustrator, I only use the Streamdeck when I have significant amounts of editing to do to an image. Other people could use this as a permanent fixture, and I know that many people do. People utilize these keypads for purposes of streaming, graphic design and music production, to name but a few examples. So that's the Streamdeck, or to be more precise, that's a macro keypad, or programmable keypad, or whatever else you might wish to call it. If you're looking for a more streamlined mode of controlling your software, not to mention the general functions of your computer, these keypads represent a device which is certainly something to consider. So whether you have a Streamdeck or plan on getting one, or anything similar, and you want to work with Adobe Illustrator from an advantageous dynamic, don't forget to download the exclusive Illustrator icon pack in the description.